How's it going, people? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another Box to Box. Not just another Box to Box, the final Box to Box of the season. I've got Jason with me here from Always Wolves Fan TV to break down and do a preview of Sunday's game against Wolves here at the Emirates Stadium. Firstly, Jason, how are you? Everything well? Are you okay?
Good, yeah. Travel down was fine. Got to this. It is a fantastic stadium. Been here a few times. And yeah, looking forward to this today. We had a good chat earlier as well. So.
We did. A regular match going fan, Jason is, and I want to get kind of straight into it. I'm going to actually go back to the game just before. It was the final game before we broke up for the World Cup.
Yep.
It was the game against you guys at your place.
Yep.
A good win, but it was around when Steve Davis, the interim manager, was in charge, and things have changed since then. I just want to go look back to that game, and then looking forward now to your season, Jason. What have you made of it?
I mean, listen, it was a really difficult start to the season for us. Bruno Lage, we was expecting a little bit more from him, and he come in, he tried to change Nuno's style immediately and go to a back four, which didn't quite work for him. He didn't have the personnel to do it. He then got rid of some really big characters out the team, and I think that changed everything really. And then he got sacked. He did need to get sacked. You know, I'm not one of these supporters who thinks, right, get rid of the manager, but he did need to go. They brought Davis in because they didn't have, obviously, a replacement for Lage. But then, listen, Lopetegui's come in, done an unbelievable job. But back to that game, Wolves started actually quite well.
Agreed.
I mean, it was 2 goals in the second half for Arsenal, but Wolves did start well. And I remember, I think it was Semedo made 2 breaks down the right-hand side and caused some problems.
He did.
And a lot of the play was coming from the flanks. But Arsenal were good for the win on the night. But yeah, 2 second-half goals, so we got undone.
Definitely. That was kind of when we was in our pomp as well, just before the World Cup break, obviously top of the league. You guys were actually, at the time, bottom of the table at that time.
Well, when Lopetegui took over, we were flat bottom, and I think there's only 3 teams in the Premier League before Wolves who'd escaped relegation, and this season we've done it, and Lopetegui's been an absolute revelation. He is an elite manager. You know, it wouldn't surprise me if at some point he manages a club like Arsenal or Man City, you know, a big club. I'm not saying, you know, Spurs. But,
I like you, Jason.
But I'll be honest, he has done an unbelievable job at Wolves, and this is why, you know, there is clubs sniffing around him now, and that's not a bad thing because it shows that he's doing a good job, and he's turned our fortunes around completely. Yes, the Brighton game when we got hammered 6-0, I think that was just a one-off. That happens. But in the main, we've had some good results and we've picked up the points which we've needed to stay in the league. Yeah,
do you hold on to Julian Lopetegui? Do you think, you said the clubs are sniffing around, but do you think you can hold on to him? He's kept you into safety now.
I do think we can. I do hope we can, because we was courting him for a long time. And, you know, it's been such a frustrating season. I think if Lopetegui had a full pre-season under him, or we'd have been in charge from the start of the season, I think it would have been completely different. And that's why I'm quite excited about next season, that he can go into it with a full pre-season, with his own personnel. But there's a bit of a problem with FFP at the minute, where, you know, his hands might be tied, but we've still got plenty of assets to sell. Ruben Neves. I mean, I think Arsenal were interested in him at one point.
Lopetegui's got the best out of him since he's been. He's been sensational since Lopetegui took over.
He's been unbelievable, and you guys have been interested. I think he's angling on a move to Barcelona, but I don't think they've got the cash to buy him, and they're looking at player swaps, and that's no good to Wolves because we do need the cash. Yeah,
definitely. Now, Ruben Neves is a player that we'll get to, who I think it's a danger man and someone I'm fearful of when we get speaking about Wolves later on in the show. Just quickly, I'm going to get your thoughts on Arsenal's season. Now, I don't expect you to have watched the whole season from Arsenal. Obviously, that's kind of what we do. But I'm sure you would have heard online, social media, the pundits say, you know, Arsenal bottled it.
I've never heard anything. I wasn't going to use the word. I said to you before, I'm not going to use the word bottled.
Feels a bit harsh, but obviously Arsenal for the majority of the season, I think 246 or 47 games at the top of the league, got pipped at the end by Man City, who are currently on course for a treble. But a good season for Arsenal, in my opinion. I think we was up there, was doing our business, playing amazing football, and I have high hopes for next season as well. But what have you made of Arsenal's season, considering you're playing come Sunday?
If they'd have said to you guys as supporters, look, before the season, you're going to be challenging Man City for the title, you'd have took it.
100%.
What you won't take is the fact that you've been top of the league for 200 odd days, 250 odd days, whatever it is. And then right at listen, I think it was the West Ham game for you guys, which was a bit of a turning point. And Man City could smell blood at that point. And I think, listen, they're robots, and they will just keep winning and winning and winning. And as soon as Arsenal had that little blip, I just think it was then Man City's title. And listen, I'd like to see Arsenal win it. I want it to be shared out. But listen, they've had a fantastic season. I think the way it's ended has been so disappointing for you guys. But like I said, at the start of the season, they said, you're going to be challenging Man City for that title. You'd have took that.
100%, 100%. What about Mikel Arteta? We spoke about Julian Lopetegui quite a bit, and I think he's done a superb job as well for you guys at Wolves. And I'd hope he stays with you guys. But Mikel Arteta came in a few seasons back and really transformed this Arsenal side, brought the relationship between the fans and the players a lot closer together. He's done for me, some incredible things. Got rid of big personalities as well. He got rid of big characters, and that has benefited Arsenal. And he's got a good style of play and identity in this Arsenal side. But what have you made of him from the outside perspective?
I think, I mean, listen, Arsene Wenger, I don't want to go too much into your past, but he was a manager who they're stuck with. And towards the end, it was a bit tricky, but they kept with that manager and look at all the success he brought to you. And I do think if they stick with Arteta, they might not get the same level of success, but they will get success. What surprises me most about Arteta is the fact that this is his first job in management, and he has really taken to it well. Listen, once again, what a season you guys have had, and I firmly believe you'll be challenging next season as well. They've got to stick with him. They've got to back him. It's important that they keep backing these managers, because if they start pulling funds away and telling him he's got to sell, that's when it's going to come unstuck. But I think you've had a great season. I do think he's a very good manager.
It's nice. It's always nice to hear opposing fans' opinions on Arsenal and the manager. And I think you're right. I think we've got to stick with him. And he's earned himself enough credit with the FA Cup when he first came in. Now, obviously challenging for the title this season. I wanted to quickly look at your last 3 fixtures. I think what was it? You lost to United, but you drew to Everton, lost to United, and then
beat Villa.
So yes, that's a Birmingham derby, and you got the win there. So Lopetegui, there's some good results in there. That might spur well come Sunday, or do you think your team will be on the beach come Sunday?
I wouldn't like to think we'd be on the beach, but listen, I think the game we was at the beach was Brighton. If I can go back 4 matches very quickly on that, we got hammered 6-0 at Brighton. We was never at the races.
They beat us 3-0 here, mate.
Oh no, I wasn't going to mention it. But listen, Brighton are a good team.
They are.
What you do, you look at it and think Brighton sometimes. You look at the start of the season, you think that's 3 points, and then you forget how good and how organised Brighton are. But listen, we was out of it. What disappointed me about that game was we're 5-0 down, then we're trying to play from the back. When you're 5-0 down and you got no confidence, just flipping get rid of it, just get it up the other end. You don't want to concede anymore. Then we responded so well by beating Villa, because that could have been another banana skin on the basis that they're a Midlands team fighting for Europe. They're coming to Molineux, fighting for Europe. They keep talking about 1982 when they won it last, flipping heck.
Bloody hell.
So, but it could have gone either way, but that was such a big win, especially coming on the back of the 6-0 defeat. Then Man United away, it's always a difficult place to go. And, 2-0 defeat, we wasn't really expecting anything else. The Everton game, we've conceded in the 100th minute. I think
that was and you guys were all over Everton as well.
90 plus 10, and, we did play well, and it would have been nice to finish the last game at Molineux with a win, but we can always...
Hey, hold on.
Hold
on there. This is our last home game. We'll be up for it. But it's fair enough. I just wanted to highlight some of those games there, because they're going to be important, especially going into this game come Sunday. I kind of want to get into now where you see threats from Arsenal, but I want to start with you guys. You watch Wolves, you're a match-going fan week in, week out. You know your team very well. We spoke about Ruben Neves. I was about to say Ruben Diaz, but Ruben Neves.
We'll have Ruben Diaz now if he's available.
Ruben Neves has been sensational this season. So I think Adama Traore is a player that I'm quite fearful of. His finishing end products never been great, but he causes chaos. Again, that Everton game, he was a bit chaotic.
That run from Traore, he's running 60 yards with the ball. I think personally we've seen the best of Traore as a player. What people do with Traore, they think because of his pace, they think there's a world beater in there. There isn't. If he was going to be a world beater, he'd have achieved that by now. If you look at his track record, he's been at Villa, Middlesbrough, and now Wolves. Yes, he's had a little spell at Barcelona where he clearly wasn't good enough, but it is his end product. Nuno got the best out of him, in my opinion, but he's also rediscovering that form now under Lopetegui. Listen, he's a threat. He can pick the ball up on the edge of his own box and he can run past 4 or 5 players and he can create chances. Yes, his shooting and crossing can be a bit erratic, but he can win you a game out of nowhere, but it's not consistent enough for me. That can be 1 in 10, 1 in 15 games. You got Ruben Neves. Listen, Ruben Neves, we've had him at Wolves for 6 years. When he first come to the club, it was like, it was a stepping stone for him. He'd get us out of the Championship, play a season in the Premier League. We've had him 6 seasons. We've had him possibly at the peak of his career or as he's reaching it now. I don't begrudge him a move at all. He's been fantastic for the club. For me, though, he sometimes plays a little bit too deep. with his shooting range and his passing range, I'd like to see him further up the field, but he's a bit like a quarterback sometimes, and you'll see that he's quite deep.
Yeah. Anyone else? Any other players that Arsenal should be quite fearful of? Because listen, Ruben Neves, I think, is your highest scorer with 6 goals this season. I've got a stat here which may hurt you a little bit to hear, but you've only scored 31 goals this season, and that is the lowest scoring currently in the Premier League. And if you don't, if you don't score this weekend, then that will go down since the lowest since Huddersfield back in 2017-18.
Well, I did not know that stat, to be honest. But listen, we're playing with a 34, 35-year-old Diego Costa up top. Yes, and what we're doing with Diego Costa, we're expecting him to be the 28-year-old at Chelsea. And listen, he's gone. He ain't that player. Certain fans are saying give him another year. Do not give Diego Costa another year. Because if he is our front man next season, we're going to score less than 31 goals. I'm not being funny. He's done a job. He's come in. He's been okay. He's done what we needed him to do. But he's a big wage on the wage bill, and he's not scoring enough goals. He's not going to be too much of a threat. Yes, he gets in people's faces, but that's not always going to win you games. For me, one of the signings of the season, he isn't going to cause you a threat, but it's been Craig Dawson at the back. Yeah. I mean, listen, we lost a big character in Connor Cody from the defence, and we've gained a great one in Craig Dawson. Talk with threats, Matheus Nunes, very, very skillful player. It's sometimes difficult to work out and see his best position. But I think it should be a game for Traore on there's going to be a lot of space out on that pitch. I hope. Trouble is, he's a bit of an impact player, and he's known as an impact player, and that's not always a good thing for players, because they do want to play 90 minutes, but he can come off the bench and turn a game. We've also got Raul Jimenez, who isn't the player he was since the injury.
Head injury. I know. Is he? Oh my God.
Which was here, yeah.
Wow, yeah. What a reminder against us, yeah.
And he hasn't been the same since then. It's such a shame, because he could have got into any Premier League.
I wanted him. I was a big fan of him, so it is a shame.
He could have got into any Premier League team, but he didn't play last week in what looks to be his last home game for the club, and that's a shame. So I do hope he comes back to the Emirates, we win 1-0, and Jimenez scores. That would be the perfect finish, Wolves fans.
All right, let me ask you about the threats from Arsenal. Anyone that you've seen this season that you're a bit fearful of? I mean, we've got quite a few goal scorers from midfield.
Absolutely.
And going forward, there's enough forward line as well, is very strong. Anyone that really you're fearful of?
I think the 3 main players for me are Odegaard, Martinelli and Saka, and especially Saka, because I think he plays with that much confidence for a young player. He's also very mature. You can tell he lives his life right off the pitch. Yeah. But if you look at his assists and his goals this season, I think you got 3 players, 2 on 15, 1 on 14. So, I mean, that's incredible. So them 3 players scored more than Wolves all season.
Oh my God, yeah. To be looking at that.
These are stats now, but yeah, I think they cause any team. That's why you've had such a good season, because they cause any team problems. Wolves' defence is stronger under Lopetegui. What Lopetegui focuses on, being as he's a former goalkeeper, is clean sheets. Yeah. So that is so important to Lopetegui. Do I think we're going to keep a clean sheet here on Sunday? No, because listen,
you and me both, mate.
And I think you guys are going to want to finish on a high. You're going to want to show these supporters what a good season you've had. Yep. You're certainly not going to be on the beach. So I think it's going to be an interesting game.
Okay, let's go into it. We're coming towards the end of the box and the previews. Let's go into the score prediction that you've got in mind. And I know you said 1-0 Raul Jimenez, but what do you believe is actually going to be come Sunday? And I'll give mine as well.
I think it's going to be 2-1 to Arsenal. I think they're going to finish on a high. And listen, I wouldn't normally bet against, I should say, my own club. Yeah. But it's going to be a difficult game. We've had a difficult season. I think we're keen to see the back of it now. There's going to be a few players that we've had for several years, mainly from the Nuno era, which are going now, Moutinho, Neves. But I do think we still want to finish on a high. I think it's going to be too big an ask here at Arsenal. So I am going to bet against my club, and I'm going to go 2-1 to Arsenal, but I hope it's Raul Jimenez that gets the goal for Wolves.
Fair enough. That's a fair prediction. I'm going to go with a 3-1. You said you're right. I think the team are going to want to go out on a high. 3-1 to Wolves. No, I'm joking. 3-1 to Arsenal. Only because that thing that you said there, I think the players going to want to go out on a high. I think last week against Nottingham Forest, I mean, it felt like the players were on the beach. I know they always give their all, but it just felt like they weren't. The fight and the hunger wasn't there as much as it has been throughout the first half of the season. But I think coming here, last game of the season, a lot of players maybe giving some farewells. I think they want to go out on a high. And the reason why I say you're going to score is because, I'll be honest, the home form have been massively impressive with Arsenal this season, considering we've been very leaky at the back. And I expect us to concede at home, which is an awful thing to say, but that is what I've seen this season. And And yeah, we're always open to concede. So 3-1 for me, 2-1 for you. Thank you as well, Jason, for joining us on this preview on Box to Box. Make sure you check him out on Always Wolves Fan TV. The link will be in the description to his channel. Does some fantastic interviews, so make sure you check it out. Like the video if you've liked the video. And before I round up the show, I do want to speak to you guys and let you know that Claude Cup, we done it last year in honour of the legend himself, Claude. We'll be doing a football match between AFTV and DR All-Stars. Plenty of influencers and presenters that you're regular and used to seeing on your YouTube screen. It'll be there on the 24th of June, so make sure you get your tickets and get involved in that. Thank you all. This is it, the last Box to Box, the last game of the season. It's been a good season, but we didn't get it in the end. But take care, and we'll see you again come next season. Peace.
Shop for AFTV merch at shop.aftv.co.uk. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Snapchat, and Twitch. We've got content for every platform, so check it out.